My name is Llyr Heller, and I'm a stage manager, and I've stage managed in Canada, Santa Barbara, and Los Angeles. I started stage managing. I was a film and theater major at UC Santa Barbara, and they didn't have the best theater program, so I went abroad to Canada, Vancouver, where they had a really good theater program, and I assisted stage managed a few shows. And the main show was Carol Churchill's Top Girls, and we had we were under the stage, we were all over the place, and I thought, this is fun, I like this, because I don't act, so I'm like, I like this backstage. So then I got to do my own stage management, and I did this little 6-person piece called The Disappeared, about Argentina's disappeared. And that's what I think started me on I think I could do this as a little side gig. I like the stage managing thing. My last show was The End of Civilization by Sky Pilot Theater, with Sky Pilot Theater. And I think it was my favorite one that I've worked on so far because, first of all, the cast, everyone was very nice. There was no drama. And secondly, it was the first time I got to use a computerized console instead of the usual, oh, take a picture of that. Something like that. It was all computerized, so that was very exciting and much easier. Let's see, what a normal working evening usually consists of me coming in about an hour to 2 hours ahead of the cast, usually about an hour, and then first I sweep, then I mop, then I make sure everything's clean and tidy, and then by then the actors are coming in, so I take off my music that I've put on, and either they put on some music or it's silent. And then I run through all the cues, I practice them all, and I make sure they all go up when they're supposed to. And then I basically stand by each actor and with them go through their props. And towards the end of the run, I trust them when they tell me they've checked their props. But if not, I'll just stand with them and have them go through it with me. And then just any last minute things with the box office or anything like that. And then I try to get the show started 5 or 10 minutes after. That's the other thing, like, actors have to prepare, and I understand that, and I respect that, so I don't need to bother them with anything unless it's checking props. Like, I don't need to make small talk, and I don't need to, unless they want to. If that's how they release, that's great, but most people do yoga, or meditate, or run their lines, or what have you, smoke a cigarette. So it's nice, as long as they're around and I can see them visually, they just do what they do. Yeah. I worked on a production of Closer, not a bad play, but it was financed by our woman lead, and I just remember one time she was on the phone and it was at places, and that was the only time I've ever had to yell at an actor to get off the phone, or because we were ready to go and she was on the phone, so I offered to throw the phone out the window, I think, or something to that effect, but she got on and the show was great. And then I remember sometimes it's funny when you have, what's that word, when you have the alternates come on, like you take turns?
Understudies?
Oh, okay. The understudies come on because during Closer again, we had this really great actor, and then the understudy was there for a show, and they were typing to each other, and I was projecting what they were typing, but they were saying it while it was showing up behind them, and so one guy didn't know the lines very well, so he was saying things as the typing appeared, and it was completely different. So the audience was hilariously laughing, and he wasn't sure why. That was a good one. And that show also, one of the lights blew, and before the show started, I had to get out in front of the audience with a ladder and change a light. So there's always adventures in small theater. So Black Rider with Tom Waits was very inspirational, as well as any theater that Ray Bradbury puts on. He has his own theater house in Pasadena, and sometimes he puts on performances in Santa Monica. And anything he writes would be such a joy to stage manage, because as a stage manager, sometimes you get tired listening to the same lines over and over, but if it's the best writing in the world, I just don't think you would. In the theater world, I started out wanting to be a background painter, but I realized I'm not very good at it. So I chose stage managing because I'm good at organizational and all those things. But if not, I think directing would be fun. But really I'm about to get my master's in library science, so what I really want to be doing is being a librarian for young adults and children. One of the downfalls of being a stage manager is that the producer and or director might expect you to give notes to the actors, which I feel is not my job, it's the director's job. So I remember in one show, the director came up to me during intermission and told me notes to give them. And I said, they know what they did wrong, you can tell, and they feel bad enough already. Maybe you can save the notes for later. That's not part of my job, because I think it's important that the notes come from the director because he has the vision of the play, and I just don't think it's right for me to tell actors what to do unless it's literally you missed the cue or please step in the right zone. Those are more action notes than how one should read a line. One of the best jobs I had, well, it was still while I was in college in Canada. It was my first solo stage managing experience. It was a little play called The Disappeared, and it was about the Argentinian Dirty War, 1976 to 83, where 30 to 40,000 people were disappeared because of political reasons and whatnot. And you can look it up on the web. There are still people hunting for the people who did this, war criminals, such and all that. And I picked that project because my mother and my family on that side is Argentinian and Jewish, so I thought it would be an interesting thing. And they had little bits of Spanish in there with Spanish speaking people performing it, and it was really interesting to me. And one of the reasons I liked it was because it was a bilingual play, and I was one of the few people in the theater area to speak Spanish as well, so that's why they chose me and I chose it as well. The advice I would give to upcoming stage managers would be, if you have any questions, ask the producer or director. They usually know. And if not, there's usually some other type of tech person there to assist you, whether it be a lighting person or sound person. And just be organized, remember where everything goes, make friends with the actors, and just make sure the actors have what they need so that the show is successful.